All right, I am talking to a couple of cameras. I've got Instagram Live, I've got Facebook, website, Google Online. We are gonna talk today about what is happening in our real estate market. I've talked last week about some kind of things that were impacting the real estate market. Number one being inventory. And I'm gonna keep going back and forth the cameras here, but the main thing that's kind of happening right now is inventory slowing down. We're not getting that much inventory. Yesterday in Burlington, 14 listings hit the market, 14. We're seeing an average over the last couple of months between 20 and 40 listings a day. I know it's a bit of a spread, but probably closer in the 30 range. And right now we're getting a lot of hesitation in the marketplace. A lot of people are really taking the time, really thinking about what they're doing and going, what should we be doing in the real estate marketplace? Do we need to move now? Is it time to list our home? Should we go out and start looking and purchasing a home? What do we do? So Daniel Tenser, Huffington Post, .ca, wrote an article called "Here is what the Bank of Canada says the real reason for the housing slowdown is." Quite honestly, there isn't one reason, but he goes on to write, "For months now, the real estate industry has been telling us that Canada's mortgage stress test is the primary cause of the slowdown, the housing slowdown in the Greater Toronto and Greater Vancouver area, mainly across Canada." Now, one thing I will tell you is this: real estate, and I've preached it for a long time, real estate is extremely localized. It's not something that you can just broad paint with a brush. You can't just say this is how it is and that's it. That's not it at all. But there are a bunch of factors that have played into why our market has slowly just slowed down. Now, in some areas, we're still getting multiple offers. In some areas, if you're priced well, and we're gonna talk about that, but if you're priced well and ready to rock and roll, your house looks good, maybe you've done some staging, maybe you've freshly painted it, maybe the old bathroom that needed to be done is finished, you redid it, there is a lot of things that can make your home sell quickly and for top dollar. I've got a video on that. But the mortgage stress test has played a huge factor in a majority of real estate industry and expert opinions on why our market has slowed down. There was a stat here though that said only between 2015 and 2018, the rising cost of home ownership would have lowered annual home sales nationwide by a hefty 56,000. This is what the Bank of Canada says. Only a fraction of that, 10,000 sales, would have been due to the mortgage stress test that the Bank of Canada has found. All of the rest have been due to rising prices and hikes to mortgage rates. Now, what the Bank of Canada doesn't tell you, and this is the industry inside opinion from me, is that while housing prices and mortgage rates continue to go up, the mortgage stress test has taken your purchasing power down by 8 to 12 and sometimes more %. That's significant, that's huge, that's massive. Put it this way, a $500,000 house, if you take 10% off that, that's $450,000. The difference between a $450,000 house and a $500,000 house is significant. You go from, depending on where you are, from a townhouse with condo fees to potentially a townhouse without condo fees. If you're in more rural areas and not in the main suburbs, you might go from a townhouse to a freehold detached house. Like, there is significant implications with what you can afford. Now, in the higher end pricing, when you get above $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 on an $800,000 house, you're talking $80,000. $80,000. That's significant. So the mortgage stress test has played a huge part, but I also think there's a few other factors. I think that buyer fatigue has played a huge part. What does that mean? I think a lot of people have moved. A lot of people impulsively have moved. By the way, Coffee with Ken, another episode. Just throwing it out there. Good coffee. Now, a lot of people have moved and that's created a little bit of buyer fatigue. The reality though is this, and we need to bring this all back and understand what is happening in our current marketplace, okay? This is what's happening right now in the current marketplace. If someone you know is thinking about making a move, whether they're buying or selling, share this video with them. It's very important. We have multiple buckets, I like to call them, buckets of people that are moving. Number one, a lot of downsizers, a lot of baby boomers are thinking about making that move. They've got this big house, maybe it's too much for them. They don't want to do the stairs, they don't want to do the yard maintenance, and they're ready to get out of where they're at. Our population of baby boomers is significant. We're talking like probably close to 50% or more of people that are 50 plus that are gonna want to downsize now for the next 10 years. That's a massive market. So that's number one. Number two, we have a lot of foreign investment and we have a lot of immigration. Significant amount, hundreds of thousands of people every year are coming into this country ready to start their personal life, start a family, open up a business, invest into our communities legally, and that's a good thing. So we have a lot of legal immigration and foreign investment. Number three, we have the millennial age group that is now buying their first home or has bought their first home and is now moving up because they've started their family. There's two people making a decent income, and we've got a combined household income. That means that they're gonna go from a starter home into potentially a family home. So there's three major buckets. The fourth bucket is there is actually a lot of people looking to rent now because when they sell their house, they don't know where they want to go. So it's actually, and some people can't afford to buy. So it's actually pushed the rental market up where prices are now starting to get a little bit out of control with respect to renters. And that fifth bucket would be sort of that Gen X, Gen Y group that is in between millennials, the 35 and under, and the baby boomers, sort of that 50, 55 and over. You've got that 35 to 50, and they're ready to move up. So there's a lot of different market influences that are affecting our real estate market. It's not just as simple as a mortgage stress test. It's not just as simple as painting it as a national picture. This is what the real estate market's doing in Canada. Real estate is extremely localized, and what's happening here in the GTA is going to be completely different than what's happening in Northern Canada, in Western Canada, in Eastern Canada, and some are going to be experiencing crazy real estate markets, and some are going to be experiencing like what they've been experiencing in the Greater Vancouver and BC area, where it's been a major dip. Okay, so we have a lot of things that are going on. Now, I wanted to kind of wade through this a little bit and sum up what this article is saying. So the other major thing that we really have to take into consideration is debt. Debt is killing our nation. We are a nation of debt. Now, I was just reading something that 48% of Canadians are on the brink of insolvency. 48%, okay, that's huge. Meaning if they lose their job, now listen, if you're self-employed and you can go sell more stuff or do more services or whatever it is that you do, you may be on the brink, but you also have the opportunity to go out and generate revenue, where people that are in a salaried position or work hour to hour, they don't have that opportunity. So 48% is significant. This is a major red flag, something that if you are in a salaried position and you're up to debt in your eyeballs, do not buy a house. You probably won't even be able to. But the reality is, do not buy a house if you are in that kind of position. It's not smart. This isn't something that you should do, okay? That's number one. So very high debt ratios right now, and a big chunk of that is mortgages. If you have credit card debt, you gotta pay that off. That's like your number one priority. So major debt, mortgage stress test, and then all the factors that I talked about. What this means for the housing market going forward is hard to guess. This is Daniel Tenser talking here. Even if the Bank of Canada isn't willing to go on a limb with new taxes and new mortgage rules that are working their way through the system, high debt levels, and we've also got a booming job market, we've got a brand new situation we've never experienced before. What they've basically summed all this up is we are in uncharted territories, and I don't disagree. We are in uncharted territories. Reality is this: the market's still gonna go on. People are still gonna move. We still have to live our lives, and this isn't negative. This is just reality. This is just what we're dealing with. Look, if you're thinking about making a move and don't know where to start, you are in a boat with pretty much every other Canadian. Unless you have to move for your job or for your kids or for something specific. If you're thinking about making that move, we need to have a talk. We need to sit down and discuss what you're thinking about. What are your goals? What are your long-term strategies? When I work with clients, we work through selling your home or purchasing a home as an investment, and what is the best strategy and way to make sure that your money, your assets are aligned and perfect. I want them to be perfect. Your goals and your investment strategies are aligned, making sure that you are moving in the right direction financially going forward. Can you afford that house you want to buy? And if you can't afford that house, does it make sense to buy it? Like, do you need that much house? Do you need to have this big of a mortgage payment? Probably not. So when we sit down and look at your goals and your investment strategy, where your money's at, we come up with a very tailored and craft plan to make sure that you're moving in the right direction and you're getting a great deal for your home, listing it quickly and selling it for top dollar, and finding that property that makes sense for you to move forward into and have that perfect and that amazing life going forward. So, sold@kenparkin.com. You can find me on all the interwebs: Facebook, Instagram, Google, Ken Parkin Real Estate. If you're thinking about making a move, whether you're buying or selling, I'd love to chat. That's it. I don't know where the market's going. No one does. But you can't live for what's gonna come in the future. You have to live for what's right now. And I'm the guy to make sure that you're in the right position at all times. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Go out and have yourselves an amazing day.